Welcome to the Human Conversation podcast with Jules White, the real dragon slayer, author and entrepreneur sales coach. Tune in weekly for human conversation about business and sales. Enjoy business expert interviews, educational episodes, and virtual cuppas with entrepreneur business owners. So grab yourself a cuppa and enjoy. Here is your host, Jules White.
So welcome to the Human Conversation. And today is a solo version of the Human Conversation. So my podcast now, I'm probably in episode 52. It's been a wonderful journey, something I really, really love doing. And my opportunity, I feel, to just talk to a wide audience, to get to know them, because I love the feedback that we get from these podcasts. I talk to my guests, obviously, if you've been listening. I have wonderful guests on here with me. But I also have the ability to express myself in my podcast. It's my podcast. I can come on whenever I want, really, and I can talk to you all. And there's no question that right now we're in unprecedented times that we have never experienced before. So at the weekend, I took some time out. We've been in isolation here for probably, I'd say about 2 weeks, because Sam has been home from school for nearly 2 weeks. He's also asthmatic, so we're just being super cautious. And so we've been home. We decided the weekends we'd try to keep the weekends, even though they all merge into one. I've seen some really funny memes around about what day it is, Blur's Day and things like that, which have always made me smile. But this weekend I wanted to take some time out. I wanted to really stop and breathe and think. And I ended up writing a blog. And it's quite interesting because I wanted to write this blog all week last week. I was just desperate to sit down and write every day. I had so much to say about what we were all going through, so much to say about what I had seen on social media, the anger, as I say, the frustration, the sadness, the worry, how scared people were. And so I finally sat down on Sunday and wrote this blog. So I would really like to share my thoughts on the podcast today from the blog that I wrote. You can see it and read it. So that's accessible on my website, liveitloveitsellit.co.uk. So here's my blog, here's my thoughts. So I've wanted to write this all week, as I mentioned, and I kept waiting. I was consuming everything that everyone else was saying and seeing people repeat the same messages. So much fear, anger, desperation, and amongst all that, the people who were ever optimistic and positive, the people like me. Just to put perspective to this, I have cried and sat in the corner telling myself I am a failure this week. I am human, I'm not Superwoman, but I still choose hope and positivity. It's really the only way I know how to be. All of the above are coping mechanisms, and now I can see that our UHP, our unique human proposition, that thing I'm always talking about, is more obvious than it ever has been before. Can you see how different we all are? And not just in the way we think, our values and how we behave, but also the circumstances that we find ourselves in. I couldn't begin to write a blog that will cater for all of you. I don't know your world. I don't understand your circumstances. I can't imagine what it would be like for you. And just like the customers that we deal with every day, we have to understand that we won't sell to everyone, and that's okay. So these are my thoughts. And it's for those of you who can resonate, those who can take everything I say the right way and the way it is meant. And I hope that that's many of you. So to begin, I've created 3 sections in this blog. I like threes, as most of you know, and you will appreciate that when you look at my history. I've had Truly Madly Baby, I've got Live It, Love It, Sell It, and of course, I've got UHP. There's no coincidence here at all. But I want to write about connecting, learning, and reflecting. So as soon as I saw that we were heading for a lockdown a couple of weeks back, I jumped straight online. I created a group of products, especially for the new normal that we were going to face. I called these my Connect, Learn and Reflect products. I also started a LinkedIn hashtag support and survive, which now has over 160 followers, which is amazing. A new community to give support and hope. But this was 2 weeks ago. The weeks that have followed have been an absolute roller coaster for all of us. Me being the positive person, I found it really difficult to be called selfish by people who didn't even know me and to continually read toxic and negative posts. But reframe this to what I said at the very beginning. Everyone is reacting in a different way, and that is how we all cope. So I took a step back and I thought about what I can do next. So I'm always trying to make stuff happen. I am a doer, one of life's doers, but now it was time to stop and breathe. What's happening to us will become the new normal, but that will take us a couple of weeks, if not more, to accept. And some of us will still struggle to accept it. But what I do know is that life will have to go on. If you run a business like me, you have a choice. You can sit in the corner quietly and hope that it all goes away, or you can stay visible and positive and adapt to the new norm. Some people won't be ready to buy yet, but when they are ready, they will remember that you were the one who supported and stayed visible and available for when they were ready. Actually, this is what I teach in sales, so it's no different for me. I don't feel like this is the change in how we sell. It is a buyer's journey. I believe that sales is about loving our customers, not selling to them. And right now, this is critical. That doesn't mean you stop doing business. It means that you make the biggest effort to create relationships. The true definition of sales. So here are these 3 areas that I talked about. They're my thoughts, and I hope you take something from this that is useful, inspiring, and thought-provoking. Connect. So there's never been a better time to connect than now, and so many ways that we can connect. And actually, we are incredibly lucky that we have this technology available today to connect in the way that we can. If this had happened in 2005, which is the year I started Truly Madly Baby, I would have found things really difficult. I sold products for mothers and babies at home parties. And we had very little video conferencing back then to be able to switch those parties online really quickly. I can't even imagine what that would have looked like for my business. Connection is so important, the most important thing that we can do for the following reasons. Mental health. So as humans, connection is one of our survival instincts. We long to feel part of a tribe, a community, and be reassured that we have a purpose and are appreciated. You can already see the thousands of communities that have sprung up in the last 2 weeks. We're pretty good at this, but the balance is easily tipped when you're bombarded with online gatherings and groups to join and evenings when you can join others online on Zoom. Like anything in life, balance is key. So just choose. Choose to have a daily connection with someone, maybe a friend, family, a work colleague, maybe your boss. But it is wise to make this a daily habit that you now create. You'll need it, but equally, you do not want to overconnect. That is absolutely exhausting. Support is so, so important for us. You will need this. We all need support. And even if you're like me and you're super positive and you're resourceful, no one can do everything on their own without probably burning out. One thing I do know everything about. So believe me, the connections we have and new ones we're making, they are our support mechanism. So ask for help and offer help. Now more than ever, this will be necessary to guide you through. And inspire and share. We're all creative in our own ways. I never considered myself to be creative, but I am, and so are you. When you connect and share that creativity, you not only cement those connections, but you begin to build trust. So when you discover something, then share it, however small. If you're offering something, let people know, but not in a sleazy sales way, but connect it. Connect it to why they may want to know about it and what's in it for them. Position it as, here is how you can help. The second of my 3 areas is learn. So now more than ever, this is a great time to look at what you want to learn. Don't learn for the sake of it. Choose something that you're passionate about or something that will really enhance what you do. Always by learning. That's how we grow and thrive. New skills. In business, we are so busy, we often don't have time to learn everything that we need to run our business in a productive way. This time can be really useful to look at where we can learn new ways of working. So, a good example would be automation. No, I don't mean never speaking to humans again, but there are some great ways to automate to give yourself more time to then connect and do that important human stuff that sometimes goes out of the window. There are also other skills that can really help us to work in a smarter way, from apps to technology to learning how to maximize tools that we already have. We've just never taken the time to fully look at how they work. I bet I only use half the functions on some of the products that I personally use. Upskilling. You will have heard this word for sure. It's definitely been used more in the last 2 weeks than I have heard for a long, long time. But it is relevant. So yes, I know about marketing. Yes, I know about sales. Yes, I know about accounts. But again, we all get through with a range of blagging and muddling to having done it for years, so we know everything. However, not only are things always organically changing, but we are now going through one of the biggest changes of our lives. We may naturally feel lost, scared, clueless about how to suddenly do things we thought that we knew how to do. Now is the time to call in the experts, the people who teach and have real in-depth knowledge of those skills every day. They know the latest learnings and the methods to use. They study this stuff. So now more than ever is the time to invest in them to help you. Do you want to come out of the other side of this just as you started this unknown journey? Or will you give yourself a fighting chance to emerge with confidence, ready, and with the energy that you'll need to make a difference, knowing what your UHP really is? And finally, in the learn section, I really wanted to mention hobbies, because hobbies, well, what a great time to learn something that you've always wanted to do. I have friends who are learning how to craft, they're learning new languages, they're learning how to sing, how to play musical instruments, would you believe? And say new exercise classes that they could never attend, but they're really comfortable to do in their own home. A whole world of opportunity has opened up to us. And how wonderful is that? So make the time to do you things. And finally, reflect. Last but by no means least, reflection is really important. Before this all happened, reflection was already important. The process of stopping and reviewing, refining and adjusting, ensuring you are on track to your ultimate destination. Some of you may be thinking, I didn't really make time for that, or I didn't do enough of that. Well, now is the time to do this work. It's so very important in so many ways, and it connects beautifully back to everything I've talked about in this podcast so far. You may also find that you are forced to pivot and change not only what you're doing, but also how you deliver it. It is time to really have the space to think about what you are doing. So, questions for you. Do you love it? Are there gaps in your product range and the solutions that you provide? Does your market need anything else following our current situation? The world's changed. And can you upskill and provide it? Whilst now we will all be thinking we've got to go online and we've got to change what we do, we have to offer it free and promote it like mad. It's time to just take time to think about this, and the long-term vision should be first and foremost in your mind. Don't rush this stuff. Make it valuable to you and your customers, with the biggest focus being, what does my customer need right now? There's no doubt that the online space is now even more saturated than it ever was before. Everyone is trying to sell their wares, and it is absolutely overwhelming to both sellers and buyers. When I started my business in 2017, I knew that sales was my passion, and I wanted to do it in a different way. So I created my brands, Live It, Love It, Sell It, and UHP. These brands and this methodology is more relevant now than ever before. You are beautifully unique. And as Bupa says in one of their latest adverts, there are 7 billion versions of normal on this planet. How wonderful is that? This is your greatest asset, you. So my final thoughts for this podcast. I don't work for the NHS or any of the frontline areas where the real heroes are working right now, and there are many. Thank you to all of them from the bottom of my heart. I have a son who is asthmatic, and I've chosen to stay in, and I won't even go shopping right now. But I'm one of the lucky ones, and we all have a part to play. What I can do is support my business connections, organise connection through my LinkedIn hashtag support and survive. Please follow it as well and use it if you don't already. And my Facebook group, which provides learning to help businesses to be ready for the other side of this situation. I am naturally a leader, and I hope I can help and inspire those of you who need it. Health is obviously our priority, and after that, so is our livelihood and our economy. As small businesses, we have a huge role to play, and that is to keep the economy and our businesses going. Now is the time to be visible. Don't bombard your customers and sell to them. Love them, support them, build trust, and find out what they need. They will then choose you when they are ready to buy. We will come out of the other side of this, and no, we don't quite know what that will look like. But right now, we have a choice. We are all in this together. So are you going to move forward and connect and learn and reflect one day? Or is this day one? What choice are you going to make? Stay well. And I hope you've enjoyed this podcast, this solo podcast of mine. But I really wanted to share what I'd written in the form of a podcast, so that if you're not really into reading masses, then you can at least listen. And I hope that it's inspired you, given you some hope, and maybe even given you some balance in the situation that we are all finding ourselves in together. And I think that's the key message, isn't it? We are in this together. So lots of love. Please stay well. Please stay home unless you have to go out. Thank you to all of the heroes working on our front line for us. And I hope that we will all come out of this much stronger at the other side. You can hear my podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. And please like and subscribe, and please post your comments, because I'd love to know your feedback on this podcast. I will see you next time on The Human Conversation. Ta-da for now.
You've just been listening to the Human Conversation podcast with Jules White. To find out more about the other work that Jules does, please visit her website, www.liveitloveitsellit.co.uk. And if you enjoyed the podcast, then please do leave a rating and review on the platform you use to enjoy her show. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.